I got a phone call. I had a 20-person card game in my house that day, and I got a phone call. We need you to make Paris Hilton's 30th birthday cake for Thursday and bring it to the city. And I said to someone, could someone Google when Paris Hilton's birthday is? Because I think someone's playing a prank on me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a prank. And I made Paris Hilton's 30th birthday cake for Lavo Restaurant.
Welcome to Chapters by Propel, where we take a peek into the real lives of trailblazing community women with a mix of honesty, humor, and inspiration. I'm your host, Melanie Kuehl, and this is just part of the story. Welcome to Chapters by Propel. I'm your host, Melanie Kuehl, and I am super excited to have with me today Alexis Cohen, who makes the most spectacular cakes and cookies and God knows what else. I really can't explain how impressed I am, and if you haven't checked out her Instagram at Alexis Cohen, you should. Alexis, I want to hear everything. I've already spent a lot of time telling anyone who would listen how incredible you are even before we did the podcast, so hopefully I didn't ruin it for everyone. And you're also the most humble, so I know I'm going to make you uncomfortable from the get-go. Okay. Okay, so can you go back, Alexis, and tell me, maybe before you even started baking, like, what was your first job, or where did you work before you found baking?
Like every other kid, my first job was a counselor, and then I used to ride my bike to Stelli's, and I was Leslie Salem's assistant in makeup. That was really my first job. When I finished school, I went to makeup school and got my certificate, and I was a makeup artist. And somehow that ended up not really going so, like I didn't proceed in it. I didn't love getting up at 4 a.m. to go do someone's makeup. Not that I don't wake up at 4 a.m. to go do a cake now, but you know, you find what you love, and that really pushes you to work harder. After that, I worked in my dad's store and in Chucky's in the city. And when I first got married, I started doing mosaics. And then when my husband, DJ, may he rest in peace, turned 30, I was making a birthday party, and someone said, you have to order a cake. Back and forth till I picked a cake. I really wanted Carvel, and I ordered a custom cake, and it was so much money, and at the end of the day, I said, I'm never ordering another cake. I'm just going to figure out how to make them. And I became the person in the family, and it was just like I was having so much fun. And really by accident, I did my sister and my cousin's bridal showers, and someone asked who made the cake. I want to order one, and I said, I don't really make them, but I'm having so much fun, I'll make you one. Yeah. And Vivian Sitt ordered a cake, came to my house to pick it up. I even missed carpool that day. I forgot that I was supposed to pick up my daughter from camp. I was having so much fun, and the camp counselor called, where are you? And I ran over, and when she asked me how much I owed her, I said, I don't know. Like, I really don't do it as a job. I wouldn't even know what to tell you. And 3 days later, I found money in a drawer that she stuffed in my kitchen. Someone saw the cake at her party and called and asked if they could order something. And it really it happened by accident. And at that time, I was doing the mosaics and the cakes. Wow. And anytime someone asked me if I was able to do something, I was like, yeah, of course I can. And I hung up and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure it out. But I was having so much fun and enjoying trying and practicing that it just kept on pushing me to move forward and get better and try new things. And eventually, the cakes took over the mosaics, and it just kept going.
And here we are today. You really took that I'll make the cakes in the family thing to the next level.
Yeah.
So when you did this first cake, like now you had the first client, I guess it wasn't even really a paying client as far as you were concerned.
Right.
But like, how did that go?
It went well. She said to me, oh, could you put my son's logo on it from his bar mitzvah? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Now, it's going back 20 years ago. Yeah. There was no pictures on the phone. There was like barely email. You had to put the phone wire in the wall in order to connect to the internet.
You're really probably confusing a lot of people, Alexis.
Yeah, so she printed out a picture of her son's logo and put it in my mailbox. And I had to get it, and now I'm looking at it, staring at it, and I figured out putting wax paper over it, piping it, freezing it, transferring it, shifting it, and I figured it out. And it was so, like, I really had such a fun time figuring it out and figuring out the challenge and making it work And at the end, when I actually saw the logo on the cake, it was like such a good feeling. And when she printed her pictures, she showed me a picture of her son, like with the cake. It was just like, it was such a nice moment to be part of somebody's moment. And then I went to Barnes and Noble and bought like every cake book or decorating book, or, you know, I started researching more about baking and the science of it, just to learn everything that I could about it.
It's incredible. And it's amazing that you really, after that first cake or first few cakes, you really decided, like, I'm going to dive in and find out more about this.
Right, not even thinking that I was going to sell another cake. I just was really enjoying it.
And then from then on, so now the first cake you made, and then the cousins were like, could you make me a cake too? Is that really how it started to grow organically?
Yeah, at that time, there was no such thing as social media. I don't even know if there was Facebook yet, or if anyone was really using Facebook at the time. And it was really by word of mouth. Our community is, God bless them, one person tells one person, and then that one becomes 11, it becomes 111 and 1,011. It just keeps jumping, and it was really, you know, someone saw something somewhere, and that was really just it.
It's unbelievable.
And everybody wants to support everybody, which is beautiful.
I know. No, our community is unbelievable. You really have become known, certainly, as someone who does like the most beautiful cakes. And your reputation does precede you in terms of how much energy you put in. When I spoke to you even for a few minutes, and I said to you, like, so how is it managing your team of people who work for you, like little elves, you know, behind the scenes? You told me you do this like largely by yourself.
Yes.
So can you tell me, from the time like someone hires you and says like, okay, we want you to do our wedding cake, like what happens? How do you go from an idea to like executing this whole thing?
So some brides or party planners have like a specific design in mind, and I don't like to really copy things, so I use it as inspiration, and I always say it's gonna have my little, like, it has to have my twist on it, or a little of my own flair, or we have to change something, we have to incorporate something else. So some people are very specific. Some people say surprise me.
Wow.
Some people, like, I ask for a mood board or decor, inspiration, napkins, tablecloths, dance floor, logos. Like, everyone likes different things, and the feel of every party is very different. Some people want things to the ceiling. Some people want 4 tiers. Like, you have to get a feel of also who you're working with. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, it's mainly the party planner, so I know the party planners, but I like to ask about their clients, about the decor, about the space, what are they doing different this time, and really get a feel of where the cake and the setting that it's going in.
Oh my gosh. And then there must be, I assume, like an art component and also some kind of like architecture component in terms of building, because a lot of them are huge.
Yes. So then there's drawings and ideas, and I could send them different drawings, different pictures. We can mix and match and pull ideas. Like, I find ideas in nature, in thank you notes, in wallpapers, tiles, really everywhere I look. I feel like everyone in their field, whatever they look at, they see like their product in whatever they're looking at, or how they can make it into their product. So building it depends on how large the cake is, and usually it goes in 2 or 3 parts, like put together but not put together. And when I get there, I put it together on site. I get on a ladder and I put it together, and then I fill in the missing pieces and, you know, put the rest of the flowers on or do whatever I need to.
Oh my God, this is really a one-man situation, and it's from a one-woman situation.
Right. I usually have a friend, either a driver or a friend, come with me, like if it's in the city or somewhere like there's no parking, it's too hard to go by yourself and then just leave the car or get everything out and
for sure,
whatever it is. My kids come help me a lot when it's local, which is
fun
nice.
too.
Yeah, it's fun bringing them on excursions like that.
And then obviously, so you create it and you draw it out, and then you like have baked at home. I know we talked about like at some point you felt like you were going to be like sleeping on your floor in your kitchen.
So I started out at home. It was just a fun little hobby that turned into a little business. And in our old house, it ended up literally taking over the whole entire house, I want to say. I had things in the basement, in the separated garage, all over the kitchen. We had a little playroom. It took that over. There were nights that it took over the whole dining room. Like back then, I was, and also like we needed the double income, and I would not say no if I didn't need to. So there were weeks that I was making like 15, 20 cakes a week, but not wedding cakes at the time, but still, like there was a lot of time and energy put into them. And when we moved into our new house, I finished half of the garage into a workspace so that I was able to have it a little separated from the house. But thank God, it really grew into something that the house couldn't handle anymore. And I needed the full-time hashgacha once I started to do the wedding cakes. And eventually, it was time to move out of the house.
And I want you to tell me about how you found your space, because I know there was, like, you really felt like it was the perfect space for a few different reasons.
It was. So first, when I started doing the wedding cakes, my friend Nicole Sham in Nicole's Kitchen allowed me to use her kitchen.
Wow.
For the hashgacha. And thank God, when it started to take off, it was becoming more challenging. Taking your own ingredients every single time, brand new, so the rabbi could check them. And I was gracious to her to use her kitchen, but it would usually be like before hours or after hours, which is totally understandable. But as it became like more of my business, I couldn't withstand that every single day and every single, morning and night. And in the back of my mind, I said, maybe it's time to move. But like, I wasn't ready to take that step. I didn't know everything that it entailed. And like, I said, if, someone told me about a space, I called, I left a message, I didn't hear back. And then like a little while later, I was somewhere and I saw an old friend and I still didn't mention it. And 2 days later, Hashem sent me her again. And I said, all right. I told her, I said, thinking of maybe moving, but like, I know you're like a go-getter, but don't, keep me in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Like, don't go looking for me, but if something comes up. A week and a half later, the original person that I left a message for called me and said, Kathy told me that you're looking for a space, come see my space. And I walked in and I knew it was right. I called my brother-in-law and my cousin to come see it and go over it with me. And I jumped in. And the day that I signed my lease that the lady was supposed to pick it up, it was delayed. And when she picked it up, it was on DJ's Hebrew yard site. And I just looked up at the sky and I was like, thank you. Like, it's meant.
Yeah.
And then everything was finalized, and they handed me the keys to the store on the English day he passed away. And again, I just looked up and I said, if there was ever a sign that this was right, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, that you're by my side, thank you, Hashem. Thank you, DJ. Like, it was just so clear.
Yeah. And I feel like we see those signs so often, and it feels like you could really...
It's a big hug.
Yeah.
It's a big hug.
Yeah, and the fact that it happened on the 2 dates, I think, is
it was
unbelievable. And I have to say, Alexis, like everything as I've been like getting to know you, so much of it is about having faith and really believing that like you are where you are for a reason, and that Hashem is guiding the path, which I think is unbelievable. Also, so now are you still in the same space?
I am.
You are still in the same space.
I'm there 3 years now.
And so now you are there, and that's where most of the magic happens.
It only happens there. Like, well, you saw my dining room table last night with all my drawings on it. That I'll do at home, but all of the baking, all of the food, like everything has to be done there. I'm under full hashgacha under OU, so everything has to be done in the store and come out of the store, packaged and sealed and done.
Okay, great. And what do you feel like you still like? Is there a part of this whole process that you love best?
I love every part of it. I feel like also that's why no one works for me, because I love every part of it. It's not about control. It's about, I would rather do quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. I know I have a business, and whenever I say I don't want to run a business, people make fun of me. But I love what I do, and I don't want to just do the paperwork and manage people. That's not what I'm in it for.
Yeah.
I love the baking part. I love the science of it. I love watching everything come together and become something. I love icing it. I love making the creations, putting them on. I really love every process of it. every part of the process.
And now when you talk about like the science of it, were you a student? Like, were you someone who was like into science or the math piece or any of this?
So happens to be like I was not the biggest school person. I was really there for my sports.
Yeah.
However, my best subjects were math and science.
Oh.
And it actually lends into the baking part, to the building part, to the angles. It makes sense, I guess.
100%. And it sounds like also you were always creative. I feel like in terms of doing makeup and mosaics, it all sounds like it was
creative with my hands, yeah. Like, but if you give me a canvas, like my lines are painted like, like very straight and very perfect. Like I can't blend. It's weird, but I can on cakes and cookies and things.
That's what I was going to say. That is shocking because you're creating like
it's a different medium. I don't
3D
know.
art.
I don't know what happens. It's very different.
It's fascinating.
I'm a very in the line person, but I got comfortable in my medium, I guess.
The other thing I have to say is like, again, your Instagram is like so many gorgeous events. You're part of so many people's.
That's the biggest blessing. It's the biggest blessing. It really, really is.
Like that you get to be part of it and they'll always remember this cake, these cookies, whatever it is that you
part
created.
of you thinks like, oh, I'm just making a cake or just making a cookie, but your just is someone else's big thing. So every single thing I get to do is someone's big thing. And that's very important. So it pushes me to always put my best effort in every single thing that I do because it's someone else's best thing.
Yeah, no, I can see how much you like really genuinely care
Also,
about.
You know what happens also? Like, I mean, there are people out of the community that I do work for as well, but when you know everyone that you're working for and you have a history with them or their mother or their sister or like you know everything about where they come from, like there's just something extra. It's something, it's not just a business, it's a service, it's a family, it's a community, and we should all always be on the giving end and working, but there were times in my life that I was on the receiving end, and our community is just so special that it makes everything that you do that you want it to be more special and you put extra in.
Okay, have there been, Alexis, any really memorable cakes you've made? So either or both something really challenging or something that was just like awesome that you look back on, this was a cool experience.
So it was 2011, I think. I got a phone call. I had a 20-person card game in my house that day. And I got a phone call, we need you to make Paris Hilton's 30th birthday cake for Thursday and bring it to the city. And I said to someone, could someone Google when Paris Hilton's birthday is? Because I think someone's playing a prank on me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a prank. And I made Paris Hilton's 30th birthday cake for a Lavo restaurant. And I ran to there was no cake stores at the time anywhere but the city. I had to drive to the city to get what I needed, come home. I had like a 4-month-old at home. I somehow managed to do it, and I brought my sister and one of my best friends with me. We drove my minivan. I was sitting in the back, like still painting sequins on a shoe.
No.
And we got to Lavo, and I put it together there, and we got to stay for the party. And not that, it was just like such an amazing experience.
Sure.
And the pastry chef came out and asked who made this cake and where did you make it and how did you make it? And I said, in my house. And he's like, what do you mean in your house? And I said, I don't know, I made it in my house. And he's like, and how'd you get it here? I said, in my minivan. And I put it together in the back hallway. I was standing there with a hammer and a dowel and a thing. And he's like, really? Do you want to come see my kitchen? Do you want to work here? And we took a tour of his kitchen, and he looked at me and he said, you could be my pastry chef. Like, do you want to work here? And I just looked at him and I said, it's so kind of you, but I have 3 children at home and I live in New Jersey, and no. And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm offering you a job. And I said, I can't take it. Like, I have a family and I work from home. And it actually ended up in OK Magazine and on Paris Hilton's show at the time. She had her TV show, and it's now hanging in my store, like as a memory. It was a very, very memorable experience, like an outer body experience at the time, seemed very surreal. I still look at the pictures and I like it doesn't make sense. And another very memorable was a couple of years ago. Norma Cohen texted me to make a cake. She has a wedding in Paris, and she needs a wedding cake, to go with them. Do you think you could do it and send it? And I'm like, sure, of course I can. And figured out, thank God, how to, put it together in pieces, like I was saying, how I would put it together there, and box it up for a plane ride, and emailed the pastry team in Paris with pictures and instructions and things and pieces to put it together, and thank God it went okay. And that was also a very, very challenging and interesting experience.
These are all the things you didn't know you were signing up for when you said, I'll make the cakes for the family.
Right. But you know what? It's so nice to keep being pushed and to keep growing. And I pray and hope that I can continue being challenged and growing in life and in my field of work.
No, and it's also very flattering that you went to a restaurant in the city and he just saw you do one cake and he was ready to offer you a position as his pastry chef.
Right. So I ended up making their specialty cakes, but from home for a couple of years. Yeah.
So you never know really where things lead.
Never.
It's crazy. And it's really amazing. Can you think of any time when there was a disaster or a near disaster, anything that makes you laugh now and you're like, that was...
Yes, I could laugh now, but I think I was really almost crying that day. My daughter's here with me and she could attest to the fact that I really was almost crying. It was a wedding in June, and it happened to be 110-degree day, and it was in a gorgeous tent with a glass top. And the cake was literally right under the sun, and it was a buttercream cake. And it literally, as I was putting it together, it's plop, plop. The icing just started plopping off the cake. And I don't know what, I was just looking at my daughter, she's looking at me, and we're like, okay, let's get it back in front of the air conditioning. But now you go in front of the air conditioning, it's like a windstorm. Then I had to move it back, and I looked at everyone, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna leave it here, it's gonna cool off, and I'm gonna come back, what's the latest time I could come back? And I'm gonna touch it up. If I touch it up now, it's just still gonna melt. And we came back a couple of hours later, and we re-piped it and fixed it, and thank God it was fine. But it could have been a really disastrous thing, but it ended up working out really well, thank God.
That is a miracle altogether. I thought you were going to say I came back and the whole cake was
No. Oh my God, no.
A puddle.
No. We moved it out of the sun. If I just left it there and left and didn't realize, it would have been
a puddle
on the floor. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad it all worked out. So now, Alexis, in all of this time that now you're growing as someone who bakes and learning and reading, do you have any formal training as a pastry chef or as someone who went to cooking school? Did you take classes?
No, I think I may have taken one or two classes for fun or for self-enjoyment over the years, just to take for myself and enjoy, but no training, no formal training or schooling, no.
And you just continue learning. Now, what would you say? Are you still buying books at Barnes & Noble? Is it mostly online that you're watching?
No, I don't like watching online. I'm a very more hands-on person. I learn from experience and from reading and doing, as opposed to the YouTube things. I don't like them.
That's so interesting. To that same point, do you feel like social media has changed your industry in terms of inspiration? Or
I think it changes every industry. I think that there's so much out there that you can see, but I think that you have to navigate and be mindful that, to keep things your own, not necessarily copy everyone, but there is so much inspiration out there, and it's free advertisement also every time you post something. So it definitely changed things. You just have to make sure to, I want to say, stay in your lane and focus on what you're doing and keep to what you're doing, as opposed to looking everywhere else. It could get a little dangerous.
I know, well, that's what I think that, we talk about a lot here also, is just it is overwhelming, the social media piece. And
Yeah.
there, it's like, it's beautiful and wonderful to be able to look around and find inspiration.
But also, you don't know when to stop sometimes. Like,
Right.
you think you're going on to find one thing, or let me look something up, and all of a sudden it's 2 hours later. And I'm sure everybody else could say that also. And it's like a rabbit hole sometimes.
Yes.
But on the, like, for my business or for people's businesses, it's great. The same way that it sucks us and it's sucking other people in. So
It's true.
you
It's
just have to
true.
be mindful.
My
of
God,
that.
I was completely sucked in by that huge cake recently that was posted. There was fruit on top of it.
Oh. So that I had to put together. Like, that was a big puzzle. That I baked, it was a 40-inch round, like, it was massive. And I took it in pieces because you can't bake a cake that big, so it was pieces. And then, like, I had a map drawn of what goes where, and I had to stack them all different so that nothing falls into each other. And I was actually invited to that wedding, so I dropped everything off in my sweatpants. I went into the bathroom. Actually, I changed in the car. And I came into the wedding dressed, and then I went to the ceremony. And in the middle of the ceremony, after the bride and groom marched down, I left the ceremony and changed back into my sweatpants and went into the other room and put the whole thing together, and then went back and changed, then went back to the wedding.
This is really behind the scenes.
Yeah, that had to be put together there, and it was something very different and fun.
You know, it looked amazing.
And they actually
Amazing.
served the whole cake, like, to everyone at the wedding. It was nice.
It's so nice.
Mm-hmm.
What normally happens? Normally some of it's cake and some of it's not, I guess.
Like, in our community especially, like, one tier is usually real and the rest are not edible on the inside.
Got it. Wow. Okay, so now what kind of advice, Alexis, would you give to someone who's like, maybe likes baking or is trying to figure out if this is something they should make into a career? Like, what would you tell someone?
Go for it. Start with your friends, start with family. Our community has tons of bake sales. Bake, put your name on it, and let people start buying it at those places, and and call you, put your number on it even, and let people call you and ask for more things. Pursue it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Our community is amazing. They want to support new people, and there's enough for everyone. And it's always good, to recommend other people when someone can't do something, because not one person could fulfill everything. So there's always a need. Don't be scared that. Also, everyone starts somewhere. Like, I didn't start making wedding cakes. I started making my kid's star-piped Dora that now you wouldn't even know that it was Dora, or you would laugh, but my daughter knew it was Dora at the time.
Yeah.
And I just loved it, so I continued. Find something that you love. It's not always going to be the first thing either. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you failed at something if you don't end up doing that. It's part of a journey till you find something that you love. And then once you find that thing that you love, unless you pressure yourself, it doesn't really feel like work every day, because you enjoy what you do.
You said that so beautifully. All of it. Thank you. No,
That's how I feel about what I do.
I think you're right. And I think people often love something but feel like the market is full. In any industry, they're like, oh, there's already enough people who are doing this. There are already
There's
enough people
never
doing that.
enough people, and you'll always bring your own twist. You'll always have your own take on it. And not everyone wants one person's take. So there's always someone, like, there are sometimes, not in a bad way, but like, I could see when someone's not going to be happy. And it's not a bad thing. We just have two very different
Visions.
and it's okay sometimes. And sometimes I would say, oh, this person would be better for you.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I can't do something, they say, do you have anyone to recommend? And I give them a list of people to call. Like, that's also, our community is amazing like that. Instead of battling each other for business, we're giving each other and we're supporting each other. It was one of my daughter's friends in COVID. DSN had, I gave a macaroon class on Zoom. And one of the girls, like a couple of months later, called me and said, would it be okay? My mom said I have to call you and ask you. It's your recipe, but I want to start selling macaroons. I really love making them. Would it be okay if I sell them? And I said, I do not sell them. I mean, I'll make for people, but I said, absolutely. And she's still selling them now, and she makes other things now, and she called me for advice, and I speak to her all the time, and it's just, like, there's no reason to not help. There's no reason to not, like, there's enough for everyone.
Yeah. You're right. And that's an awesome story. And it's so nice she called you to ask if she
It was
could
very nice.
sell them. In talking about your kids, what do you feel like your kids have learned from watching you like grow this business and have it all take over, and just the way that you've lived your life?
I hope, what I know, I don't know, but what I hope that they learn and get from it is to work hard, believe in themselves, stand up for themselves, know that they have value and that they're important and that they could do anything that they put their mind to. And that one day, God willing, when they do have a family, that there are other things too. And everything, you can find balance in everything. I'm not saying that I'm very balanced, but I find time for everything. Hashem makes time for everything. When you want to do something and you want to put yourself in the right spot, whether it be working, taking care of your family, going for dinner, SBH, chesed, when you want to do the right things and you have the right intention, Hashem makes time for everything.
Alexis, you say everything so beautifully and perfectly, and I love that. And I hope that all of our children grow up really feeling that way and believing in all of it. When you think to yourself, like, maybe one day I will something, like, do you have anything in mind for what might come next?
It's going to be a long time away, but a book of some sort. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll be here. We'll do part 2 when we have the release of the Alexis Cohen book. I can't wait. I know I told you this already, and you get embarrassed every time I say it, but you're so talented. And also, I have so much respect for how you live your life and how much faith you have and how beautifully you're raising your family and how you really do make time for everything. And I've been thinking so much about all of the things that you've said in the times that we've spoken. And I know that our community loves you and appreciates having you. And we love that you're able to be a part of so many of these beautiful simchas. And I feel so lucky, even though I had to tell you, like, come on, come on, come on. Everyone says, nah. I'm so happy that you came to do this with me.
I said I'm going to step out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to come.
And I'm so happy that you're here. So thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us at Chapters by Propel. If you're ready for the next chapter in your career journey, give us a call. We're happy to help you with career coaching, navigating graduate school, or leveling up your business with some business strategy and consulting. You can email us at info@thepropelnetwork.org. Special thanks to Melanie Kuehl, our amazing host, to Hit Central Studios, and the amazing team at Propel. Good night.